here we are again today with Vaidehi Nawathe ma'am, and this is in continuation with our last conversation that we had on obesity and insulin resistance. Another important topic that ma'am we hear a lot about, and I think today's generation is obsessed with this term, which is protein. So let's decode more on and debust some of the myths around protein. Beginning with, ma'am, how much of protein is really required for me as an individual, or
There's like really.
really like genuinely a person, average person would need, because इतना सारा कुछ available है on protein, and people are just wanting to eat protein, thinking it's the most important nutrient of in the nutrition science. As per you, ma'am, what do you think? How much is needed and is important?
So, Sapna, proteins are the building blocks.
Yes.
So, amino acids, what we say. So,
Right.
they are the, proteins once broken down, the amino acids are formed. So, theoretically, in our field, what we say that 1 gram of protein per kg body weight is needed. And if at all we consider standard woman and standard man weight, then around 55 gram of protein per day for a woman and around 62 gram of protein for a man.
Correct.
But this is what theoretically we say. So there are two aspects. One is the clinical aspect, when patient is actually in need of high protein requirement, when patient is admitted in the hospital for some clinical scenario. So in that case, the requirement may go up to 1.2, 1.4, even 2 gram of protein per kg body weight. And in general scenario, where we are moving around, if at all I take a dietary recall of any layman, we understand that for a vegetarian person, the protein intake does not go beyond 15, 20, 25 gram of proteins per day. So theoretically, if we compare, it is quite low. Okay, but that is what is ongoing since ages kind of thing. So though the protein deficiency is there, and then if at all the symptoms like fatigue and low energy levels are there, and those symptoms may not be there, but something called as muscle strength, what we say. So weight wise person is perfect, but there is a lot of muscle weakness. So in that case, the protein deficiency is already set in, and we should be careful of increasing the protein intake in the diet.
Okay, so generally, if I'm talking about a person who's healthy, an average height, weight would need around 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kg body weight. And it may vary from gender to gender, and the needs,
Age factor also.
age and need at that particular situation. So, wherein what are the conditions that you would say that I would need more protein? So you said 1.2 gram. Like if suppose a banda who's 60 kg weight will need approximately 60 grams of protein in a day, okay? And or maybe 68 to 70 gram depending upon the condition. But ज़्यादातर लोग ऐसा सोचते हैं कि ओनली अगर मैं जिम जा रहा हूँ, अगर मैं कोई एक्सरसाइज कर रहा हूँ, ओनली देन आई विल नीड सो मच ऑफ प्रोटीन. And there are certain set of people who are eating well, but still they are deficit in protein. So what is your take, and how do we balance this extreme situation जहाँ पे एक population है जो ज़रूरत से ज़्यादा खा रहा है और एक जो नॉर्मल खा रहा है बट नहीं हो रहा है, मतलब खा ही नहीं रहा है, समझ नहीं रहा है.
Correct. So, Sapna, our Indian staple food is around 60 to 70% calories coming from carbohydrate. Then majority of it coming from the fat, and remaining little bit what is coming from the proteins. So when we clinically say it is around 15 to 18 percentage of proteins should, out of the total calories, should be coming from protein. So 18% approximately.
So carbohydrate matlab you're talking about the chawal,
Cereal
the
based.
chapati
So
that you're eating.
chapati, rice, even vegetables and fruits. So basically, whatever we eat on the Indian plate is majority of the macronutrient is carbohydrate.
Correct.
So proteins are somewhere are lost for the vegetarian people. Now, what you're talking about the gym people. So those who are, they are extremely obsessed with the protein intake, and somehow whatever guidance they get from their trainers and for the peer group and media kind of thing, and the intake, suppose on an average they are taking around say 50 gram of protein per day, okay, when not going to the gym. And suddenly when they start going to the gym, they start using weights and all, and the intake from 50 gram goes up to even 140, 150 gram per day. So that is a huge shift. And then there are other criterias, other risk factors also involved along with that. So whenever we are dealing with the protein intake, we should not be over conscious, but yes, we should be conscious exactly what type of protein, what portion of protein we are including in the diet. And apart from that, are we giving more load on the kidneys? Because our hydration level remains the same.
Correct.
So invariably it is poor, and the protein goes up, and there is a lot of load on the kidneys, and then somehow people end up with the problem. Now I do get many youngsters basically accompanied by the parents, and the parents directly they direct me कि हाँ protein powder का नहीं जरूरी है ना, not needed ना.
Yes.
So they want, so children don't listen to the parents.
Correct.
So they want us to guide them कि whether it is needed, not needed kind of thing. So we have to burst the myth related to the protein.
So if बच्चों को growing phase में, that growing period, they need this protein because it's a building block, right, for their growth and maintenance and all the wear and tear that happens. We need to give them enough of protein, and so it has every phase of life we need the proteins. Coming to maybe Pius, if I ask you, you must be having friends or you yourself must be gymming or exercising. What is your understanding as an outsider of the protein or the protein intake, and whether you have upped your protein intake, and what was your understanding?
So I like to play a lot of different sports. I'm not specifically in gymming or anything, but I play a lot of football. So when I consistently play football for a long period of time, for example, I'm playing thrice a week and I'm doing it for 2 hours, I can see my body losing that muscle. So and this is a practical example which I'll give right now also. 3 months I've been back from UK and I've been playing a lot of football. I can see my muscle going slowly. I can see it becoming weak. I can see that my stamina is increasing, my cardiovascular exercise is increasing, but my muscle is going. And that's when I decided, no, now let's start back gymming again, because I can lose the fat, I can increase my stamina, and then I can build my muscle. But to build this, I need protein. So now then I am having protein, but what I have done is I'm having in the morning, two scoops in the morning, 10 grams and 20 grams, and 2-3 scoops in the night. So that's my routine. But what I have generally known and what exactly bodybuilders do is they take high amounts of protein, 160 gram, 180 gram, replace each and every carb with protein. It's fat to burn the fat. It's fats that they take to build that energy, and then they use protein to build muscle, and that's what the general scenario is.
So, ma'am, how would a person, like Pius just said, I'm losing muscle, he's realizing that there's something wrong, or maybe he's not having that strength. What are the ways a person can understand that he's losing out the muscle, or what are the signs or the symptoms that he would know that what he's doing is not working for him or it's not right for him?
So there is a visible, what Pius said, that there is a visible muscle loss which is seen, okay. And again, one more point what he mentioned, we use the calipers in our clinical setup just to understand whether the muscle strength is perfect, not perfect. So as because not only because of the excessive energy expenditure, but as a part of the aging, the muscle is lost. If at all any person has undergone any surgery, if at all there's more of immobility, again the muscle is lost. So inclusion of protein in the diet is important, but both the extremes are not right. For example, what Pius said, that if at all the majority of the food is giving, like we are so much concentrated about the proteins, and then we let go the carbohydrates. And one understanding, Pius, is our brain needs only glucose as a fuel.
Absolutely.
It cannot recognize proteins.
Correct.
So if at all we are replacing the staple food of Indian food, what we have, if at all we are cutting down what we call as keto diets, where the carbohydrates are completely cut off or very minimal, like from 60% we go to 10%. And that is actually itself inviting a lot of other issues in the future. So whenever we have to incorporate the proteins in the diet, that should happen gradually. First of all, we should know whether I actually need to increase my protein intake, or whatever is happening, my body is giving the signal and I'm perfectly okay. So if I am perfectly okay, let it go. If not, then what type of proteins we have to incorporate, that is something important. So we have something called as complete protein and incomplete protein. We have something called as vegan based proteins, or vegetarian based proteins, or we have dairy proteins or animal proteins. So we have to understand exactly what type of combination of proteins and which meal I'm supposed to include. So as a dietitian, what I always tell, if at all it's not a gym person, then each meal, whether it is breakfast, lunch, dinner, or mid-evening snack, each meal should have some amount of protein in the diet to balance the intake and to prevent the muscle loss. So it can be, for example, say incorporating sprouts at the breakfast time, or incorporating lentils at meal timing. So what happens, like most of the time when people travel for the office purpose, chapati sabji ka dabba, which is very common. So chapati is also carbohydrate and vegetables also carbohydrate, and we are missing out on the protein. And then we don't realize why the stamina levels are low, even though I'm eating ghar ka khana, and still
Correct.
my energy levels are low.
Correct.
So incorporating protein in some or the other form, wherever feasible, practical, possible, incorporating say chana sattu, for example, or mung sattu, along with wheat flour or jawar flour, whatever we are using, incorporation of yogurt or buttermilk, whatever is applicable to us, whether the person is vegan or vegetarian, then that is something what we have to understand. And this is for the general public. And when we say complete protein, so Sapna, you are aware about it, that I say ki, okay, protein, 30 gram of protein will, that is one katori of one bowl of dal will give us 7 gram of protein.
Correct.
Okay, but that is not a complete protein. And what do we
Yes.
say complete? In the sense, all essential amino acids are present in that particular
One meal.
protein source. So that is a complete protein. So lentils do lack in some amount of amino acids, and cereals, that is either rice or chapati or millet, whatever we say, they lack in some other amino acids. So they complement each other.
Correct.
This is lacking, we combine together and we have a complete protein kind of thing.
Yes.
So incorporation of complete protein is important. If at all somebody can tolerate, it doesn't have any lactose intolerance kind of thing. So incorporating dairy in the form of either milk or yogurt
Paneer
or
or
buttermilk
curd
or
or-
paneer prepared at home is another way of incorporating the proteins. And somebody who is going to gym, somebody where the weights are utilized, then definitely post workout, like pre workout, we advise the carbohydrate intake, so that we are loading the carbohydrate so that they can
Energy.
be used up for the energy purpose. And post workout, when the muscles are lost, they have to be replaced.
Correct.
And for replacement, we need some protein shot. But here we should be extra careful how much protein shot we are giving, and considering the age of the person, considering the what amount of intensity workout the person is
Yes.
doing, that is important. And apart from all those things, what I earlier mentioned, that the hydration is extremely important. So hydration is not just 1.5 to 2 liters of water, it has to go beyond 4 liters
Yeah.
for sure, so that we are flushing out the unnecessary toxins which are getting created. So this is what I understand about
Yeah,
the
so
proteins.
rightly, what we've also studied from our basics is that protein is like a carbohydrate sparing nutrient. So it spares the protein, as the carbohydrates will spare the proteins from getting wasted.
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
so if you're not taking carbohydrates, and because I've seen some of my friends when we go out and they are just new into this diet and this thing, what they do is they have only dal.
Correct.
And they say, I don't want to have chapati, I don't want to have any rice, I'll just have a bowl full of dal and I'm like done with vegetables. So, and I actually smile, at them thinking that, this is not the right way to do, as you rightly said, ki dals will lack a certain amino acids, cereals will lack. So, it's a right combination of foods that we need to have to make it a complete protein, which people are not aware of. So, our tradition, that's where our roots go into, wherein जब हम खिचड़ी बनाते हैं या ढोकला बनाते हैं या इडली बनाते हैं या पोरियल बनाते हैं, that's when we combine the rice and dal together. It's never eaten as just as a one food,
So
Kind
it
of
is
a thing.
cereal
yeah,
pulse
it's a
combination
cereal
then.
pulse combination, or combining a incomplete protein with a complete protein that makes a complete balance. And that's why people need to take the advice from the right people and not just blindly follow the trend. And talking about the trend, I'm seeing, Pius, that gym goers especially, they are so much into this protein obsession that जैसे आपने भी बताया कि बच्चे आते हैं, they are wanting to have that, they are dying to have that protein whey supplement in the gym. Like I have a patient, I have this one client who comes to me. He's around in his early 20s, working professional and plus gym goer as well.
Yeah.
And I've been actually stopping him from getting into this fad of just whey, because that he's that fancied about having the whey protein in the gym, and he wants to have those big dabbas in the house and feel cool about it, that I'm having this whey protein. But then I'm trying to just change his mindset towards it, and not just because you want to build muscle or build a body, you need to not have this. You eat the right way, and then slowly, gradually increase the protein intake. So have you inclined towards any source of protein, whether it's whey or casein or anything that you are obsessed about?
No, I
or
was
any
not
of your
obsessed
friends
with
maybe?
proteins. I was never obsessed with proteins, but yes, we do have this discussion multiple times that this cannot be the only solution to build a muscular body or something like that, because the only available protein people think is the gym dabbas. Only available protein.
Yeah.
That's the only source of protein
Right.
externally.
That's
Food
the
is there.
fastest. I think
Yeah.
that's the fastest
That's the
that
fastest.
they think कि
And
jaldi banega muscle.
Exactly, and that is what is scaring mom and dads today,
Yes,
parents today,
yes.
that I don't want to give him this.
Yes.
And there is a tug of war going on between both.
yeah.
And they come to us then.
Exactly. And
We are the
then-
mediators,
Exactly.
referee in that generational gap.
Yeah,
there.
and that's scaring the whole thing, that now the community above 30 don't think that they should have protein because it is not necessary for them. There is a perception built around that only the guy who goes to gym, like a 20-year-old, or who wants to build his personality, everything like that, has to have protein. हमको diet चलेगा, उसमें से 30% आ रहा है, that's good enough. But there is a lot of clinical nutrition products available out there. There is a lot of honest products out there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that gym proteins are bad for you.
The therapeutic proteins is
What
something
we say,
that
a balanced approach.
Yes.
Balanced
So
approach,
it is
exactly.
not only proteins, but we have the right amount of macro
Yes,
as well
micro.
as
Micro,
micronutrients.
absolutely.
So something which is important. And Pius, it is not only for the younger generation, even
Yeah,
the
for everyone.
geriatric
Yes,
population.
100%.
So unfortunately, they just have a fall and they land up with a fracture, which otherwise can be prevented if at all we give the strong bones, if at all right inclusion of right protein is there in the diet. That is something which is important.
You can't just go from 0 to having 30-gram scoop which has
Yeah,
25-gram protein.
Actually.
Yes.
It is not a short-term effect. It is going to build a very long-term repercussion about it.
And I think there's a lot of fear also around the protein, if you would agree, ma'am, that there are some people who would think कि ज़्यादा protein खाया तो kidneys खराब हो जाएगी. Yeah, there's a lot of symptomatic problems also, like bloating, gas. People face these flatulence because of the protein intake, because of the maybe compromised gut, that they are not able to digest the protein. So what, according to you, should be the right approach, and what kind of proteins people can have actually to avoid these issues and not have this fear around protein?
So basically, addition of protein is important, but overdoing is definitely not advisable. So
Right.
how much we are eating, when we are eating, how we are including, that is something which is important. So unnecessary addition of the supplements or exclusion of the proteins from the diet, just thinking that they might harm my kidneys, is something which is a myth. So as I correctly said, like we, if you remember, like traditionally, just eating bhakri and good, jaggery, was supposed to be perfect. But then, or eating chana and good was supposed to be the perfect combination. So we can think about inclusion of those, traditional things in our routine diet, and where the complete nutrition, what we call in our terminology, scientific formula, which is available in different formulations. So inclusion at the right time is something which is important for sure.
I would like to ask, like, both of you coming from clinical backgrounds, you can probably intervene in this. Protein supplements are not bad as per se, correct? But if I want to have 60 gram of protein, or if I want to have 100 gram of protein, how much percentage should I convert to the diet, and how much percentage should I give it to supplements? because that is a bigger factor, that is a challenge today.
Yes.
And you do this in counseling, I
Yes.
think.
So,
But
yeah, Payas. So what we very good question. So what we do, we find out the gap. So suppose I want my patient to get around 60 gram of protein. So I actually calculate how much complete protein he's already including
Having.
in his diet.
correct.
So it may come to 35-40 gram, for example. So I have a deficit of 20 grams. So what formulation can be included which will give me those 20 grams? So it is
Correct.
not, he's already consuming 100 grams and then I'm giving additional 50 grams.
Correct.
It is not that way. So just identifying the
Gaps.
protein gap, and then just filling that with the right approach is something.
But for an average person, like for example, for me, I want 100 grams of protein, and from daily diet, I'm getting around 40. So do you think to cover the gap of 60, I should solely depend on supplements, or I should have to increase the whole diet intervention, that add paneer, add chanas and all,
Yes.
It is
and
actually
20-30 through supplement?
actually both.
Yeah.
Actually both. And that additional protein what we are talking about, the gym protein what we say, has to be used only if at all you are doing extensive workouts, for example using the dumbbells and weights and all.
Yes.
In that case only it is needed. You are doing cardio and you start taking 32 gram of protein per scoop.
Yeah, it
is
won't
not
help.
advised.
And that's
It
where
won't
the
help.
scientific formulas come in
Yes.
play. Yeah.
That's where the problem is. So again, it's the terminology is the fit. The frequency, intensity, and the timing of and the type of exercise that we are doing will determine the type of protein that I'm taking and the quantity of protein that I need to take, right? And also coming back to the question that most people have is protein causes discomfort to my stomach. So there are ways that we use in Indian households, ma'am. You would also agree that we soak the dals, we soak the pulses overnight, and we ferment the foods so much so that the digestibility of the protein increases, I think. And that's the major factor when it comes to increasing your protein intake, and again, gut health has a major role to play, because the kind of bacteria, the microflora that we'll have will decide the protein intake and the digestibility of the foods that we're eating. Yeah, so definitely I think it's not just one thing which is going to work. It's like a balanced approach that we need towards the type of protein, the quality of protein, the quantity of protein that we are going to take, and what actually is the need for me to take protein, which will be decided in conjunction with the experts that you consult or you talk to.
Yeah.
And just not follow the trend or the fads, right? So I think we've very well, I think, much enough to debunk.
I'm sorry to intervene. What is that one thing that you would like to tell anybody about 30 to manage their protein right now? Like
So
something that you have collected from your experience, and even you.
So having a balanced approach, not replacing carbohydrates by proteins completely.
Yes.
First thing. Secondly, understand where the missing link is there and incorporating that. And whenever practical possible, incorporating the foods which are naturally available instead of factory made, something which is naturally available, incorporating them at each meal, and it is practically absolutely possible. If that is done, then we are
Good to go. Perfect.
Yes. Yeah. So again, something I would not just blindly follow the trend and do. If somebody is eating a soya or somebody is eating a vegan protein, a plant-based protein, I would start that. I would listen to my own body. I would understand my own body, and accordingly, what I have been eating through my childhood, and then accordingly chart out a plan that works well for my body and absorption, and increase my activity for the absorption of protein to happen in the muscle. So that is what I think will help.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's not that easy to debunk the myths of protein.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's until and unless you deep dive into it and understand the whole thing, you won't be able to.
Yeah.
And that's where all the other factors are coming in play, like digital
Yes.
media, social media, and all these things.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason we are doing this today,
Yeah.
so that we can at least clear some of the doubts and debunk some of the myths around protein. Of course, there's lots that we can talk about,
100%.
and we are going to continue this further ahead in other segments as well, ma'am. But thank you so much for your insights today, and thank you,
Thank you
Payas,
so
to
much,
know
ma'am.
your perspective as well around protein. Thank you.